Shakespeare Sonnet 126 is the last sonnet of the young man sonnets, what's typically called the young man sonnets. And 127 initiates the dark lady sonnets, as they're called. This one is not a complete sonnet. You'll notice that there are only 12 lines, not 15, and the original quarto has these empty parentheses, which are ghostly and eerie. They signal to what is not there, this sense of incompleteness. And yet the sonnet, as you read it, you notice that it's composed of couplets, rhyming couplets, instead of alternating rhymes within the quatrains leading up to a final couplet. This is just all rhyming couplets. O thou, my lovely boy, who in thy power dost hold time's fickle glass, his sickle hour. There's a rhyming couplet there. The sense overflows into the next line here with this enjambment or lack of punctuation at the end of the line. Something to notice that's interesting is my boy, my lovely boy, is a phrase that comes from Midsummer Night's Dream. It refers to, in that play, the young boy that Titania has and that Oberon wants. So that's an interesting connection here. We're going to have another connection towards the end to another play, Hamlet, but we'll come to that. Time's fickle glass, his sickle hour. We have that rhyming, gradual increase of imagery here. Who? That's the lovely boy. Who has to by waning grown. I have a paradox. Waning means to decrease. A waning moon is a moon that is growing smaller and less bright. But here the boy, the lovely boy, has to by waning grown. That paradox is explained by what follows. And therein show'st thy lover's withering, as thy sweet self growst. We're saying here that while he himself looks like he's getting younger, his lovers are getting older. In nature, sovereign mistress over rack. Rack was destruction or decay, really decay. So nature is the mistress over decay. Nature is keeping him from withering. In nature, sovereign mistress over rack, as thou goest onwards, still will pluck thee back. Notice how the rhythm here jumps up in this. We have, as thou goest onwards, still will pluck thee back. Mounting there with the rhythm, thou goest onwards. It's kind of enacting the motion. It gives it a motion. And then we have this near rhyme and proximity here, still will pluck thee back. So what's happening as the lover is moving towards time, moving with time, nature seems to be pulling him back. There's a contest between nature and time, it seems. We've seen this contest play out in some of the sonnets before. She keeps thee to this purpose. Who is she? Nature, the sovereign mistress over decay. She keeps or preserves thee to this purpose. Why? That her skill may time disgrace and wretched minute kill. Here we have the internal rhymes here fulfilling the rhymes of the couplet in the next two lines. Nature keeps thee back. She preserves thee. Why? So that her skill may disgrace time and kill his wretched minutes. Yet, he says, here's where the volta usually is in a sonnet. At the beginning of the sestet, this is not a sestet, you'll see. Yet fear her, speaker warns, O thou minion of her pleasure. She may detain, but not still keep her treasure. Here we have that repetition again of ill. Illness seems to be what partially she is keeping him from. Nature's may detain, but she cannot keep you, meaning that time is going to win eventually. Nature is winning the battle, time will win the war. Notice the double rhyme, the feminine rhyme, pleasure, treasure. We've noticed feminine rhymes in Sonnet 20 in a previous video. Here it is a feminine couplet, pleasure, treasure, which seems fitting. Her audit, though delayed, answered must be. Her audit are formal legal summons. She will summon you. It's delayed, but it must be answered. That's death. And her quietus is to render thee. Quietus comes up in Hamlet. It's a euphemism for death. And notice that quietus is enacted by the eerie silence that follows. The completeness of the sonnet, of what would be a sonnet, is suggested by the couplets. It does seem a complete sonnet, but it's only semblance and artifice. This is not a complete sonnet, and where we expect completion, it's withheld. In a way, enacting the content in the way that nature is withholding the young man from his end, that is death. But death will eventually come for him. And that's the warning of Sonnet 126.